Like from your upbringing, you've heard of different usages of internet, which can be a boon or a bane. From your own experiences, or from your friends, peers, siblings, or your own parents saying something, or your own experience, something that you experienced while using internet. If you want to share about it, you can. Feel free to share it, and we would have a discussion on that now. And you can change your stance. You don't have to stick on to positive if you present it positive first. More from a personal point of view. So you could take, yeah, sure.
I could just go, okay. So the first thing that would come up would be responsibility. Just, I don't want to take this thing to political stand or anything like that, but for instance, for an example, you have this democracy, suppose in Nepal, right? And how responsible are you for that? Can you handle democracy or not? Can you handle access to everything? For instance, you have cigarette in front of you. Do you want cigarette to be legalized or illegalized? It's a stand for being responsible towards certain thing. So what I've seen out here is something that's missing out would be being responsible towards internet. So how responsible are we towards that? So that would be a main point. If we can really, pay the price for getting such a thing, can we take it or not? And like, as most of the other partners have told, it's about personal perception, about mis and abuse and all that thing. That does come about, but the thing of responsibility is the more important thing, I think.
It's like normally everybody uses some kind of social media these days. So a lot of time we use that for effective communication. But like example, when you talk about Facebook, like you just trying to see what your friends are up to or to get certain updates. But all of a sudden when you see these like obscene pictures or a lot of nudity on Facebook, like just yesterday, I had to report to Facebook that this is already insensitive material that has been flowing on in Facebook. So that kind of brings a psychological effect to an individual, which is kind of it takes you to another level and it makes you think that what's happening, what's going around. So
now, internet causes disputes and fights and hatred, according to me. Okay? For example, there's a girl, with all due respect to girls, there's a girl that has happened to me like 4 or 5 times. There's a girl whose social networking site status is single. And then you approach her, you waste your time, you do everything. and then a guy calls you up at the middle of the night, and then he starts fighting and all those stuff. But then people cannot see if they're doing the wrong thing, because approaching a girl is okay, and her relationship thing and everything, she sees everything, it's okay. But then it causes a fight like that, but then a dispute on the way of dispute. There are a group of friends and then there are a group of friends and then Bijeysh has like 1,000 follower Instagram, I have like 800, and then there's a new guy who has 60 or 70 followers, and then the talk is gonna be like, tero kam follower bhayo mero bhanda, you understand? You have 1,000 followers, I have 800, and then a guy comes up and he has 60 followers on some social networking site. And then you be the boss and no offense, you try to be the boss and be like, I've got more followers, you're not popular, you're not this and that. But then the real thing can be something else. He might be a good person, he might be using the stuff. He might have just started using the stuff now, but then people don't see that. Now, internet, more than the resources we get, it's on my view, okay? More than the resources we should take, 80% of the time, we don't take the resources, we're into something else. Like, personally me, I'm stuck to YouTube more than studying. And it has made me so lazy. In the class I don't study well, my grades are worse. But then, I don't study in class because I can get all the notes through the internet. But then I search the things, I think it's going to be there for me. But then it's not. We're missing, as ma'am said, real life matters more than the internet. Learning from the internet is a different thing. you want to buy a watch, you see that live and you know that. On the internet you can't do that. Whether we can see that. You understand what I'm saying?
The point is like how internet has affect someone's personal life. Like mostly with social media, and nowadays because of social media, we say that the world is really small and we get connected very easily. But at the same time, there is one effect that he just mentioned, that there is more personal harm to it because of the social media. Like a lot of people are not trying to they want to stay in that small comfort zone which internet provides. They do not want to get out of the house. They do not want to explore around. They do not want to make friends by meeting people. They want to make friends by adding people through social media, and that's something hampering our relationship pattern. Like Sunika mentioned, like we are not going into a real world. And like nowadays, like if people want to communicate, we communicate through Skype. Before, when we didn't have a lot of social media networking opportunities, then like people would write letters, they would try to visit their relatives as much as they can. But now it's more like, even if you are in the same house, you call through Viber, you talk through your like using internet, and that's making us like how do you say, like that is hampering our social relationship, making us yeah, you can say dumb in terms of personal relationship. Yeah.
A lot of times, like you see, like people sitting in the same room, and then you're not talking to that person. Instead, you're texting, and then I mean, emotions.
Okay, now in defense of internet, so we do not live in a world where we send letters through pigeons. It's changed. It's fully changed. So now we gotta adopt to the new system that has come about.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Before it was monarchy, now it's democracy, and blah blah blah. So now it's changing. Now what I feel like is we gotta adopt to that system. I understand that everybody is using cell phone and communicating with the guy on some other place, and you're not communicating with the guy next to him.
Exactly.
I understand that. But on a certain level also, there are people like introverts who would be very hard, who would have very hard time communicating with any person on the site. They would prefer going to the internet and chatting with somebody else. With a virtual mask upon themselves, it would be a good place for them to expose their experience or something else in that way, you know. So what I feel like in that instance, like we really gotta adopt to the new system that has brought about with the internet thing. That's what I feel about that thing.
In addition to that, it's from my personal experience, like I was outgoing person 3 or 4 years before when I went to Bangalore, and I had a hostel which is a strict rule that I had to get inside the hostel before 6, and all I had in my room was a laptop and internet. So you know, slowly what I discovered about, slowly what I realized about myself was whatever I had learned, I was unlearning all of those things. Like I had better public speaking and I loved going out and talking to people, but when I came back after 3 years, I hesitated to speak to people and really come out of that zone, and you know, so I realized that it was unlearning process and I had to relearn whatever I had in me. So that's what internet did to me in my personal life.
Internet too. I have friends who are bloggers, and you know, this time you can't just write in a paper and just go and show the paper on people's face to just beg them to read it. So if you just post the blogs or something, people who are on the internet, they can read it, and you know, they can just see how people think about you know, what they're seeing or their perceptions on something. So you know, it just brings out your creativity too.
Yeah, I would like to add something. So, internet is more like a platform. So, I have this friend. He's actually introvert. He doesn't actually talk much. But a couple of months back, I went to his Facebook. I mean, he's a good singer. He sings really beautiful, and I get to check his songs with. I get to check his songs, and he was really a genius. Like, lyricism to everything. When I saw him in real, he was introvert. I could never imagine that he could do that. But in fact, yeah, I think internet is a platform.
But on the contrary to that, one thing is you can be anyone on the internet, nobody would know. But I'm a girl, I can sign up in any account being a boy and nobody would know that because they wouldn't see me. So, you just using internet and seeing those people there, we wouldn't know whom to trust and whom not to trust.
Say, little shy. She won't go out with her friends, something. All that is, she has her own laptop, unlimited internet. She searches everything, even her homework. If her teacher gives her some homework, she does it online. So, the 21st century kids, they use internet to the maximum level, and which is, in other sense, it's taking their personal time. Instead of she going outside playing games, roaming around with friends, chilling out. Instead of leaving all those things, she's stuck inside the house. Internet is everything. She watches movies. Her knowledge is updated to the date. When compared to other classmates, her knowledge is really improved. But in other sense, it's taking her personal time. She's not able to be the girl she has to be. She's just inside the house, into the computer. I don't think that's really a good thing. I think it's the impact of internet.
New phases were exposed to this. Like for instance, people from my age group around 24, 25, they know the phase without the internet, what they had before. And now they know the phase with the internet. So they have this relation to compare with or without the internet. So we can come out of Facebook and not out of Facebook. But for these new kids, they do not know the phase without the internet. So that brings a big problem for them. So with pornography and all that thing, what I really find for the new kids would be to make them aware of what internet really is. Like the case of his sister, being sitting there and working out everything on internet. What I feel like is they must be given a whole awareness about what internet is. How did it come about? It just didn't come about by people sitting in a room. No, the people who created Facebook, I mean, most of you have seen Facebook movies and all that thing. So those people, they were not stuck in a room. They were intellectual, they were outgoing. The app developers, the programmers, all those people are very outgoing. The kids who are in their house using the internet, they are not aware of that world, the world that creates the internet. So people I think they need to be made more aware about what internet really is. Then they might get a little notion of, alright, I'm not going to use internet today. Then only they will have that instead of, I could do something other than internet. So I think they should be made aware of that.
If you have it, you're gonna suffer. If you don't have it, even then you're gonna suffer. So is the case of internet, if I could actually relate to that.
Yeah.
You need internet when it comes to, people said information, communication, one stop for all help. It saves your time, effort, it's a resource utilization, a source of learning, access, free material. For some people, they even said it's best friend. And you can adopt to the advanced technology, and in the liberalization, privatization and globalization phenomena that we live in, internet definitely is one of the most important platforms. While coming to the negatives, it's the most immature handling, lethargy, then misuse. For some people, they said it's anonymous resource or anonymous source of information, absence of creativity, responsibility. Are you ready to pay the price of the information that you actually take in? At the same time, a kind of conditioning. Say you learn something, then you unlearned it, and then you have to relearn the same thing that you learned. So in that case, it's being negative. So he said about masterpiece, things like that. So it's like, it's about the way you use it, how you want to use it. For some people, if there is negatives, at the same time, they're positives. So we can't generalize on it's more harm or good. So let's end on a more diplomatic and a stand or neutral stand that we need information, is about the way we use it. So do we get a thumbs up from everybody on that?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this amazing discussion. I think I had a lot of fun and a lot of learning in being a moderator for this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's go use internet.